Hello, Algebra 2B, and welcome to Lesson 7.3. Hey, that rhymes. Look at that. Today's essential question. How do you solve equations with radicals or square roots? All right, so the main idea of this is now we have equations with radicals, a 2-for-1 deal. It's really not too bad. We have some extra little info here, so we're solving each equation. Remember to check for extraneous solutions. And those are solutions that actually, so they look like solutions, but they're not. They're hiding. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's get right on to it. So if you don't have this printed out, you can certainly just write it down. Square root of 15 minus x equals 5. So on a separate sheet of paper or this printed out, let's get started. First idea is you want to isolate the square root, which we're already done. Okay, that's already taken care of. The square root is by itself. So step 2 is we're going to square both sides. Square both sides. All right, so what that's going to look like is, so square root of 15 minus x equals 5. Squaring both sides is going to square the right, square the left. Okay, I like to put parentheses around. It'll help out a little bit. When you do that, all it does is really cancels out the square root. Boop. Okay, so the creamy filling inside comes on out. 15 minus x equals 25. Once you do that, this should hopefully be legwork for you. Nice and easy. Subtract 15. Subtract 15. Negative x is equal to 10. And then divide by negative 1. And that just means x is equal to negative 10. Check that out. Now, this check for extraneous solutions, what you want to do then is plug that negative 10 back in for x here. So for our check, okay, we want to consider, well, what is 15 minus negative 10, the square root of that at least, and is it equal to 5? Okay, well, square root of 15 minus negative 10 is the square root of 25 because it's minus negative, equals 5. 5 equals 5, checks out. So I will box it off as a formal answer. It's checked. Okay. For number 2, all right, isolate the radical. It's already taken care of, so we'll just jump right on into squaring both sides. Okay, that just leaves 2a minus 3 equals 3 squared, not times 2, squared. So that's a common mistake as students multiply it by 2, but it's 9. Add 3, so we got 12 is equal to 2a. Divide by 2, a is equal to 6. Let's check it on out. Square root 2 times 6 minus 3. Well, that's the square root of 12 minus 3, which is the square root of 9. Is that equal to 3? Yes, indeed it is. So, that's a smiley face. Yep. We'll box it off and call it a day for that one. All right, a is equal to 6. So, hopefully this stuff's not too shabby for you. Now, it gets a little trickier. Actually, this one's easy. Heck, you could probably do this one all by yourself. I'll pause it right here, or you guys pause it. And try this one out and see if you get the same solution. I'll run through it though. Boop, 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 boop. Square both sides. So 2 minus 7. Is 16. All right, x equals 23. So it seems to work out. Again, if you don't have a graphing calculator, that's okay. You could use any old calculator. Main idea, make sure you do check for extraneous solutions. 23 minus 7, 16, there we go, square root. All right, so for 4, is it any much different? Not really. So another one you could try on your own. These should get pretty quick if you square both sides. It's just backwards. So this time 9 is equal to k plus 4. We're going to subtract 4. Hey, 5 is equal to k. And if you do that in your head, that is 5 plus 4, which is 9. And square root of 9 is 3. So it's going to work out. Now they get a little more challenging. Here's the more challenging ones, okay? 5, 6, 7, 8. So, after the easy stuff's taken care of, it always gets a little more challenging, but it's going to be the same idea. First, isolate that radical, get it by itself. That's already taken care of. Only now we have an x on the other side. We're still going to do the same thing, though. Square both sides. Okay, so the middle part's just going to come out. Negative 12 plus 8x. Now we have x squared. Oh boy. So when you have an x squared involved, now all of your factoring fun is going to come back into play. Factoring is back. Alright, I recommend, so we're going to need to set this equal to 0. Okay, I recommend keeping the x squared positive. To do that, we'll add 12 and we'll subtract 8x. So we have 0 is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 12. Okay, I believe for most of these, I made it nice for you so that we don't need the quadratic. But let's just keep going. So now 0 is equal to, remember your factoring skills, factors of positive 12 that add to negative 8, x minus 6, and x minus 2. 6, 2 is 12, negative, negative, get you there. Now we're solving, okay? So you split each side up, set equal to 0, x is equal to 6, x is equal to 2, and these are the ones where it's especially important to double check. So now we have two possibilities, x equals 6, x equals 2. So after we factor by set equal to 0, so if you need to write these little steps down for you, now we want to check for extraneous. Negative 12, okay, plus 8 times 6, so I'm checking x equals 6, is negative 12 plus, and again, don't be a hero, 8 times 6 is 48. That is 36. Square root of that, is that equal to 6? Because it's x, so you're substituting it in for everything. And 6 equals 6. That one is a solution. As for 2, let's try out 2. Negative 12, so square root negative 12 plus 8 times 2. Is that equal to 2? Negative 12 plus 16, is that equal to 2 square root? And that is 4. And square root of 4 is 2. That one works out as well. Okay, so two solutions for that one. Remember all those little things if it's set equal to x. So let's try another one of those with a little more work involved. So, all right. R, square both sides, because the square root is also isolated. Already done for you. 90 minus r equals r squared. All right. Set equal to 0. So the r squared's on the right. Again, I think it's easiest to set the left equal to 0. So we are going to subtract 90 and add r. Subtract 90, add r, which means 0 is equal to r squared plus r minus 90. We're going to need to factor that. So factors of 90 that add to 1, I think that would be positive 10 and negative 9. Okay, split up, set equal to 0, chop it in half, x is equal to 9. Okay, solving this side. And over here, r, x, not r is equal to 9, is equal to negative 10. Doesn't really matter, but to be correct. Now, we are not done yet. We got to check. Okay, so we're we're at the treasure. We want to double check to make sure that's where it is. 90 minus 9, so I'll just check right behind here. So square root of 90 minus 9, is that equal to 9? Well, that's the square root of 81. Is that equal to 9? Yes, that is. So that's a solution. Now let's check out the next one, square root of 90 minus negative 10. Okay, so be careful with that. Is that equal to negative 10? Well, let's see. Square root of 100, 90 minus negative 10, is equal to negative 10. And here, 10 is equal to negative 10. Error. 10 is much more than negative 10. Okay, I'd rather have $10 than be in debt $10. So here's our first example of an extraneous solution. Okay, so like I've been boxing the real solutions, you can go ahead and cancel out the equal to sign or label that it's extraneous, something like that. But I do want to ensure that you are checking for extraneous solutions and just clarify that one way, shape, or form for me. So especially when it comes to negatives, that's when you want to be careful. Okay? Last two examples. Let's take care of these. Oh man, now we have fractions in our square roots. Oh boy. Alright, first, let's get this part by itself. Okay? We're adding 2, so we're going to subtract 2 from each side. Okay? 5r minus 1 to the 1/2 is equal to 2. There's different ways to go about this. Alright? If it's to the 1/2, really, the easiest thing we can do is, remember, 1/2 is interchangeable with square roots. So, the opposite of square rooting is squaring. So we're just going to square both sides still. Okay? Square both sides. That would cancel out. Remember, you multiply the exponents, so that just makes it 1, which brings the 5r minus 1 out. And on the right, we have equals 4. So it looks scary, and it's really not too bad. Add 1, 5 is equal to 5r, divide by 5, divide by 5, and r is equal to 1. Let's double check. So 2 plus 5 times 1 minus 1 to the 1/2, is that equal to 4? Well, 2 plus 5 minus 1 is 4 to the 1/2, is that equal to 4? Well, that's 2 plus 4 to the 1/2 is 2, and 4 equals 4. Check that out. Works out. Okay. Last example. Alright, so in this case, don't distribute the 9, so don't do that. No, because we have the 1/2. So instead, divide everything by 9. Okay, so 5 is equal to 3b minus 5 to the 1/2. Opposite of 1/2 is to square it. We're going to square both sides. Okay, so 3b minus 5 is equal to 25. We are going to add 5, add 5. 3b is equal to 30. Divide by 3, divide by 3. B is equal to 10. I'll leave the check up to you. But that's the main idea. I believe it does work out. So you can just take my word for it or do the little check yourself. Okay? So nice job with that. Try out the practice problems. They are 8 problems very similar to all those. Okay? Make sure you take a picture or scan your work. Send that in to me. And have an awesome day, guys. Nice job.